You're welcome back. If you've not followed us on any of our social media platforms, now is the time. Follow us at ImpactTV and at ImpactTV UK. The conversation is on skills, tangible and intangible skills, which we've translated to soft and hard skills, which is more important. What do you need in the 21st century? In fact, is one more relevant than the other? Before we get to the conversation with our guests, we've already given some tips on what you need to actually get yourself, to kickstart yourself in learning a hard or a soft skill. And we've also taken comments because we asked a question, which is more relevant in the 21st century? Is it soft or hard skills? Without further ado, I have my guest here with me this morning. His name is Andre Gabot. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so Andre Gabot is a value-driven entrepreneur and soft skills professional with West Africa Vocational Education. He called it WAVE to me, with over 4 years of experience in training over 1,000 youth and getting them work ready. I mean, I like how that particular part is, and I'm going to let you explain that to me. But before we get into that, to you, what does skills mean?
Okay, so thank you for that. Basically, skills are just I'll try to make it very simple, but again, anything you learn that enables you to then be effective and efficient in what you do are basically skills, all right? So if I decide today to go and learn something and continue to do a deliberate practice over time to ensure that I become a master in that thing, it means I am deliberately learning a particular skill.
Yeah.
And that's what skills are generally.
Okay, so you were explaining to me before we came on that you work with a non-profit that actually gets youth ready for skills. What does that mean?
Okay.
With skills, rather. What does it mean?
So, WAVE, West Africa Vocational Education. So, we started over 7 years now. I think that this is about the 8 years that we're doing this. So we started out to be able to flatten the curve or just bridge the gap between the employers and then the job seekers out there. So you see how employers say that there are jobs, but again, we do not have the people who are readily fit to take on those job vacancies. And then on the side of the young people, there is the argument that you need credentials, you need man, no man, if I put it that way, to be able to then get a job. So WAVE comes in to then bridge that gap to ensure that we are your man, no man, the connection, if you put it that way, and also we can help stay for you that place of credential to tell the employer that this person is well equipped for this role. We have given them that training that they needed, so that the employer is not so big on credentials anymore, but then just focuses on the skills and competencies that the individual is bringing on board. So that's how we started, and then we do training. We first find young people through our outreach and admissions team. They go out there through the street. They have different channels, whether it's with speaking to influencers or town storming, or now we do alumni referrals because we've trained over 3,000 people.
3,000.
And then so we do this training from time to time just to equip people on some of the basic soft skills that employers are looking out for.
So in your opinion, I mean, we asked a question earlier, soft skills and hard skills, which is more relevant in the 21st century? What do you think? Okay,
so this is... The argument is changing from time to time.
Yeah.
If we think about now that we are in the, I don't know whether to say the post-COVID era, but we're still in COVID, right? If you think about it that way, a lot of roles are changing, right? So we're beginning to hear roles like virtual assistant, and these were things that people would naturally in the past not really pay attention to. But again, that's what we're experiencing now. So it's required from a lot of organizations now that you have technical skills, right? Which is also art skills, right? But if you have technical skills and you do not have the soft skills, for instance, emotional intelligence, right? How am I able to manage my emotions, right? Effective communication. How do I interact with people? Teamwork. How am I able to manage myself around people, right? If you do not have that soft skills, you'll still struggle with your technical skills, right? Unless you're running a one-man business where it's just you, yourself, and yourself, right? But then if you have to work with people, if you have to interact with people, you definitely need soft skills to be able to then ensure that you deliver at a very optimal level.
So in your opinion, you think soft skills and hard skills, they work hand in hand?
Exactly.
And, but how about people that do not have the ability to actually get into having soft skills? Because I mean, like you said, the narrative is changing, things are changing. People are now, there are now new inventions and innovations that is making things even more, I would say easier for people to live in, but then some people don't see it that way. So for people that have hard skills, and they do not have soft skills, how can they weather through that storm?
So as I think through this question, I know that we have people who are willing to learn, right, who are willing to push themselves, but they do not have the opportunity. Some of them don't even know places where they can actually learn the soft skills that can help them deliver effectively with their technical skills. So and that's where WAVE comes in, right? So what we're doing, we're talking to people, we're talking to young people. We're out there on social media. We have social media platforms, you know, where people can find us, right? Go to our website and look us up. But again, I also understand that there is this other set of people who don't even have access to the internet, right?
Thank you. I was going to go there now. How about these people?
Yes. So, and that becomes a challenge. You know, that becomes a challenge because even with WAVE, we still have requirements. For you to come into the program, you must at least know how to read and write, right? Because if you cannot process what the facilitator is saying if you don't know how to read and write, right? Some of our employers say, some of our employers, when they reach out to us and say, find candidates for us, but find people who can effectively communicate, find people who can listen, right? Listening is a skill, right? And not many people know that. Not many people are big on listening. You know, sometimes we just feel like it's okay to talk and talk and talk, but then we don't listen. And that's the gap. People don't even understand that for me to get a job, I need to be able to listen well. Because in the interview, sometimes the employer is asking you a question and they expect you to listen very well to be able to give the appropriate answers, right? And a lot of people have the strength to work, you know, have what it takes to work, but again, they have to go through this interview process and they do not know how. So it's a challenge. As I think about the general public, I look at the divide of, okay, I do not know where to get the skills, but again, I can go online and as they listen to me right now, they can go online, search for WAVE, and then they are well informed and then they apply, right? But for the other set of people, it's a challenge, and that's why sometimes when people come to us, we look out for opportunities to see how we can help people like that.
Okay. So as you were talking about it, I was seeing some soft skills that you were mentioning silently. So how about we break it down now? Let's talk about soft skills and then hard skills. What are let's list the soft skills, because I mean we've been throwing that word around all morning, and some people don't even know what soft skills are. In fact, some people have used it interchangeably, like soft skills could be hard skills and hard skills could be soft skills. And in fact, sometimes some of these can enter each other. So let's list it. What are the soft skills that we have? I mean, the general popular ones that people can just go somewhere and learn it or come to you to learn. What are they?
So effective communication.
All right.
It's one. Problem solving, time management, and managing expectations. Soft skills generally are just transferable skills, right? So they could be taught, and I could sit down to just learn and just get that information from someone who is ready to put it out there, you know. So effective communication, problem solving, time management, emotional intelligence, teamwork, you know, analytical skills, and all of that. Then for technical skills, right, you would say driving is one, you know, for something that requires that you use your somehow just be engaged in it. You know, we've talked about tangible and intangible.
Your hands,
so
your body.
You must be involved in doing something. So if you think about the hairdresser, that's a technical skill. The person in the salon, you know, driving. Digital literacy, for instance, right? So I'm a digital marketer, right? That's a technical skill. I have to be doing something with the laptop or whatever gadget or device that I have, and all of that. So all of those are technical skills, and that's why I say that we cannot completely separate them now.
Yeah.
Because of where we are headed, right? So I think I've been able to just do a bit of separation, right?
Yeah.
So technical skills are those skills that requires for you to do something with your line, and it's not just the information that you have inside, right? You're exercising your body.
It's a soft skill, but why do people think it's a hard skill?
So because these days there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of things that allow for communication, right? And then that kind of creates that mentality to feel that, okay, if I'm going to communicate with some tools, right? Why, just like we spoke earlier on about digital marketing, right? So if I'm beginning to use certain tools to then communicate, why is communication not playing in that space of technical skill? But the reason why communication or effective communication is a soft skill is because it's a transferable skill, right? I can sit down and I can be well thought out to effectively communicate, right? Somebody can talk to me about the tips that I need to know to effectively listen, right? And to understand, and how to paraphrase, you know, in trying to replay what the speaker has said just to confirm conversations, right? All of that is something that I can just sit down in a room and be taught. It's a transferable skill. There's no argument around that.
Okay, let's talk about working under pressure and multitasking. Okay. That's almost an argument between Yemisi and I want to hear your opinion on it. I think that, you know, before now, while 4 or 5 years ago when you were submitting your curriculum vitae, you would say that, oh, working under pressure is a skill. It's under the skill sets that you should have. Oh, you can this, you can that, and everything. Okay. And then you can multitask, you're good with teamwork, blah, blah, blah. But I think that working under pressure and multitasking should not make it into your CV anymore, because I don't think it is healthy. In fact, I'm not sure that would, by the time they are evaluating you as an individual or as an employee, you may not have done excellent jobs. You might have done good work, but you may not have done it very well. What do you think?
So for me, we've moved past those era where we just have certain things on our CVs as cliche. For instance, somebody says they have communication skills, and in the interview, they can't even process the question, right? It's a cliche. It's on your CV. And what is a cliche? A word that has been overused, and then it has lost its original intent. Multitasking, in that sense, it's not a bad thing. It's not something that I think most employers look out for people who can multitask. But for me, I've been trained time management and managing expectations over the years. I have realized that sometimes you can be a lot more effective and efficient when you do one thing at a time. All right. For instance, if I give you a task and I say do these things, these 10 things, and I expect you to be done in 4 hours, right? So, some other people can say, okay, while I'm doing this, I can be doing this, I can be responding to emails and doing all of that. And then at the end of the day, the job doesn't come out very well. Just like you've said, you know, you do a lot of things, you do good work, but again, it's not excellent, right? So how about I say that from the very beginning, I put some planning, some thinking into the different tasks that I have. And I put some structure to it to say that from 9 a.m. to about 9:45, I'm going to do the first task, which is responding to emails, right? I'm going to take my time and respond to about 5 or 7 emails that I need to respond to, right? From 9:45, I take a 10 minutes break, because it's important that you have these breaks at intervals so that you're re-energized for the work. I take a 5 or 10 minutes break, you know, just stretch my legs, and I come back to my laptop and do something else. That way you have that structure. right? And sometimes it's important that you prioritize, in terms of what is urgent and what is important, and I set out to go about those different things that I want to do one after the other. I tell people time management is managing your life. The way you manage your time is the way you manage your life. Some people say, sometimes I just get a lot confused, right? I have too many things to do at the same time, and I do not, sometimes at the end of the day, I look back to say that I've not achieved so much. That's because in your head, because we actually achieve these things with our minds. Sometimes you win and lose battles in your mind. So in your head, you're already thinking this is too much for me already, right? And so you're just scattered, you're just everywhere. And some people call that multitasking. No, it's important that you're able to list out the things you want to do and then be able to get at them one after the other.
But how about working under pressure? Like, is it even effective? Because, some people have said it out loud that the only way you can get me to work effectively is to work under pressure. Yeah,
you can argue that there are people who like for other people to push them, right? And I've met different individuals. I've seen people who like to work, they just want their space. Okay. Tell me what I need to do. Give me my space, and I'll get it done. If it's something that I need you to help me, I get back to you to say that how do I go about XYZ? And you tell me how I go about it, then I go back and I get the job done. I don't need you to be in my face. I don't need you micromanaging me, but then there are other people who, and maybe because they have not grown or they've not reached that elastic point where they now develop themselves to push themselves, right? So sometimes they need a supervisor to just check in with them to say, have you done this, right? Have you been able to do this? Why haven't you done this? And then they're just bringing their A game because somebody's pushing them, right? So, but it's not a good place to be. And I think that if that's how somebody functions best, they need to grow to the point where they can be that motivation for themselves, right? For me, if you put me under pressure, pressure comes in different forms, right? If you put me under pressure, a lot of things run through my head at the same time, and if I'm beginning to process why you're doing that, right? Because if it's for the job to be done and done well, I don't need to be under pressure. I know how to manage my time. Just tell me all that I need to do, right? But again, because a lot of the times supervisors and managers will put people under pressure because they want the job to be done on time, right? Not just get the job done, but we want it to be done at a particular time, right? And sometimes some of these individuals who complain about being under pressure has allowed for it. For instance, if I'm a manager and I've already noticed that you're not very efficient on your job, and then I've seen some gaps, I've tried to help you maybe with trainings and all of that, and I still see that you struggle, right? Then I'm put under that situation or that pressure to then push you, to that point where I want you to be. And then that person who is feeling uncomfortable about how they are being spoken to begins to feel that pressure. I always say this: emotions drive people, and people drive performance, right? So it's important that I care about the emotional space of that person as the supervisor and the manager. So if I'm pushing them too hard, even if I'm not pushing them too hard, and I'm observing the body language, right? And this also ties into effective communication, because in communication there is the verbal communication, there is the non-verbal communication. So if I'm observing the body language and I'm seeing that this person is actually struggling, right? It allows for me to just take a pause to say, what is the problem? Just create that time and have that one-on-one to understand what the issues are and help them at their level.
I like how you've been able to break down that particular conversation and working under pressure and all of that. But before I let you go this morning, what are the skill sets, both technical and soft, that is essential for every human to have? Either you're working in an organization, or you're an entrepreneur, you're a student, you're a parent, whatever. What are those skill sets that you need?
Number one, I will say again, effective communication. I know a lot of young people who are determined, they have the willingness to learn, but again, they cannot sell themselves because the employer cannot make assumptions of the things that you can do. You have to be able to sell yourself. And most times people go for interview and there is the question, tell me about yourself. What are you bringing to the table, right? These are questions that the employer would use to then determine how good you are and some of the things that you can bring on board.
Yeah.
You know, so problem solving, being able to think critically, you know, critical thinking, being able to analyze problem, get down to the root cause of a problem, and then generate solutions. Employers are not looking for people who would talk about the problems. It's easy to see and identify problems, but again, it's more important to then be able to generate solutions for problems. So to analyze a problem is a lot more deeper than generating the solution, right? I think it was Albert Einstein that says that if he had 60 minutes to solve the world's problem, then he would spend 55 minutes trying to understand the problem, then spend just 5 minutes in trying to apply the solution he would have generated from analyzing the problem. Right? So effective communication, problem solving, teamwork, right? You need to be able to work with people, right? Emotional intelligence, it's very, very important. And if you think about where we are headed as a people, right? Someone needs to get into the social media space. I hear a lot of young people who say that I'm not a social media person, all right? But again, that's where we're headed, right? A lot of things happen online now. So you need to be digitally literate. You need to understand some of these skills. I saw someone recently online, she said she's a sales coach.
Interesting.
Right? And she makes some money completely online. You know, does training for people via Zoom and all of that. So these skills are very, very essential now, right? Particularly with what COVID has done and exposed us into the era that we are now. So effective communication, problem solving, teamwork, emotional intelligence, and then for those technical skills, I would suggest, because AI is just around the corner there right now, a lot of people are already talking about artificial intelligence. So it's important you get into the digital space and begin to learn 1 or 2 skills from there as well.
Thank you so much, Andre Gilbert, for joining us this morning. We just had a conversation of soft and hard skills, what skills you need to remain relevant in the 21st century.